death, where is your sting? The angels roar for Christ our King. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Alright, time to do it. Alright, what's happening, guys? So, another live stream. It's another day, another live stream, and it's another opportunity for me to be able to help people out with my words. I'm pretty excited. Today is going to be a very specific topic. Sometimes I like when it's a little more structured, sometimes I like freestyling. But today it's going to be all about relationships, dealing with other people, interactions with the people around you, and whatnot. So, yeah, this is going to be a good one. You don't want to miss this one, right? You don't want to miss this one. So, anyways, to get the ball rolling, I just wanted to give you my theory and the way that I view casual dating in 2018, right? I feel like there's this common misconception with Generation Z, if you're born after 1995, that you have to stumble and kiss a lot of frogs along the way in order for you to actually meet your prince, right? They say you got to get out there, you just got to start dating people, you got to take a chance and just meet whoever, whenever. At the end of the day, you get a free dinner, and you know what they say? Kiss these frogs, because in the end, you'll eventually meet your prince. But to be honest with you, man, you don't have to do it that way. That's not the only method, right? I just feel like if you do that, right? If you do that, you don't treat relationships, which is dating, to marry seriously. You just start to look at it as something as just a fling, as something where feelings don't matter and emotions or whatever, and sleeping around is the norm. But here's the thing, man. If you have self-respect for yourself, right? I'm actually supporting and encouraging people to be picky, right? If you have self-respect for yourself, then you would know that you're too good to be going on a date with a random girl or a guy every other day, every other week, right? Giving a little piece of your heart away each time. That's not the way to do it, right? If you have self-respect for yourself, then you would know that you're holding out because the right person will come along, and you won't have to play games. You won't have to play mind tricks. You won't have to do those texting, oh, I better wait 15 minutes before I reply. What I'm trying to get at is, if you find the right person, these things go right out the window. And more often than not, when you focus more on yourself rather than trying to find the right guy or the right girl by going on these random dates, it's going to benefit you and your partner in the end. Anyways, that's kind of my spew, my little philosophy, my little speech. Date to marry, right? Date to marry. So, but if you have any, okay, here we go. I've been in a relationship for a few months. It's over now. But like, he was 8 years older than me, and we connected. I had history with my sister and an ex-boyfriend, but I didn't want them to meet. But it ended up. Yeah, you know, sometimes people can be ratchet, some people can be sneaky, some people can be friendly, some people can be good for you. In the end, I feel like a lot of times when you spend a lot of your moments being wrapped up about a previous relationship, you can never allow yourself to open up and start a new chapter. What I'm trying to get at is, if you stay bitter and you always think about and you look at your old photos of your ex or whatever, you're never going to be able to get over them, right? So I feel like if you really want to do yourself a service of being healthy, of being good again, you really just got to forgive them, let it go. No matter how painful it is, you know, you got to let it go, right? And obviously you're going to say it's easier said than done. It's really not, right? If you're really having trouble, block them, right? Block them on social media, avoid them. If they try to say hi to you, be like, you're not good for me anymore, and I feel like it's best that we don't talk anymore, right? Do whatever you got to do to block them out of your existence. Okay? But with that said, you don't want to have a grudge against them or be bitter towards them. So it's good to forgive them, but let it go. Okay? That way, when you pick up the pen and you start writing the next chapter of your book of life, you're able to do it with a healthy and free spirit, free mind, free heart. You can't move on to a new relationship, especially with yourself, if you're so wrapped up on your ex. All right? They're an ex for a reason. Seriously, at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of times when we break up and we make up and we break up and we think about our ex, we only think about the good times, and you neglect to think about all the times where you realize, like, yo, this guy, this girl is not going to be a good husband for me. She's not going to be a good wife for me. She cheated on me. She's lying all the time. You forget about that stuff. You suppress your memory, and you only think about the memories of, like, your first date or your third date or whatever, but you don't think about all the other times where you didn't like them. Obviously led to the breakup, right? So, I don't know. Hopefully that helped. I kind of just rambled there, but whatever. Oh, Christ the King, oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. How to deal politely with people who mock or question your faith. I feel like I don't know all the answers or what to say when they ask me questions. Yeah, I think that's one thing that you're going to encounter a lot, especially if you take your faith seriously and it's a way of life rather than something you do on Easter or just Sunday. Okay? So once you start to look at faith in a different limelight, when you start to have a relationship with Jesus, it starts to encompass everything, right? And then you start to realize that people are going to start to tease you, and they're not going to necessarily agree with you and your views in life because you're different, right? I feel like there was a point in time for a majority of humanity where being Christian was like the thing, right? It was a majority. But when you look at the high schoolers today, middle schoolers, college students, and some working professionals, right? Some of them are atheists, right? I'm not going to say there's an overwhelming amount. There's not. Statistically, it's like 2, 3, 4%, right? In America. I don't know about other places, but in America, it's not that prevalent. But with that said, your statistical chances of meeting someone that's atheist or someone that's not going to agree with you is higher. And so as a result, they're going to disagree with you. They're going to tease you. They're going to be like, how do you even know Jesus is real? How do you even know God is real? And they're going to test you. Right, they're gonna make fun of you and be like, how do you not know the answer? How am I supposed to believe you're God if you can't even answer me this simple question? They're gonna do all that stuff and test you. But if you look at Scripture, man, God tells you that He's gonna be there right with you, and He's gonna arm you with the correct words, and the Spirit is gonna lead you in what to say. But to get to that point, you need to establish a rapport, a relationship with Jesus, so that you are submerged into the Word and you are more knowledgeable about the Bible, right? If you're just someone that claps your hands on a Sunday, but you don't really know too much about the gospel, you don't really know Jesus, when people ask you the question, that's the very reason why you don't know how to answer it, because you don't really know anything about the Bible. You don't really know anything about Jesus. So I would say take the time to actually study the Word, to actually get to know who Jesus is, His philosophy, His ministry, the way, how He's the way, the truth, and the life. And once you learn all of that, right, when atheists ask me questions, I've never been stumped. Because I've done my homework, I've done my research to the point where when they ask me something, I can actually rebuttal and rebuke and actually teach them the truth, right? But to get to that point, you need to make an effort, but you're not on your own, right? God told us that the Holy Spirit is with us. He's going to help you out. So when you're reading your scriptures, when something doesn't make sense, right? Lean on God. Don't lean on your own understanding, but lean on the Spirit. All right? So, yeah, I mean, that's the truth, right? Atheists are going to tease you. Agnostics are going to make fun of you. Other people are going to be like, why are you wasting your time on Sundays and Friday nights? It's inevitable. It's inevitable. But to arm yourself in a way that you can teach with peace and love. I'm not about holding picket signs and telling people you're going to hell and yelling at them and cussing at them. I've seen them and I see their agenda. I get it, right? I get what they're coming from. But if you really want to preach a message of love like Jesus did, bruh, you got to come at it from a different angle with love. And to get to that point, you need to become knowledgeable in the Word, okay? Preach it. I'm sick of being single. Here's the thing, man. Singledom is a season in your life where you're going to value and treasure because it allows you to set yourself up for success when you get into a relationship, right? I feel like there's some people that are watching this right now that feel like they can never be happy unless they're in a relationship. And unless they're in a relationship, they feel like, I'm single, no one likes me, I don't have worth, no one likes me, and that's a dirty lie. That's a direct manipulation and lie from the enemy. That is something that the devil will do to make you think that you're not good enough unless you get a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? But what I want to say is that you're good enough the way you are because you are a child of God. You're made in his image, right? You are perfect the way you are, right? You have to learn how to love yourself because if you don't love yourself right now when you're single, no one will respect you and give you the love that you deserve when you are in a relationship, right? Unless you come to a point where you have the self-respect to say, I'm single, but I love it. I like where I am at in life right now. I might not have a boyfriend. I might not have a girlfriend to go on these dates with, but you know what? I'm satisfied with who I am, my identity, and where I'm going in life. And you know what? If someone wants to join the ride with me, I'm all about it, but I'm not going to push the button, and I'm not going to be obsessed with that, okay? Get to a point where you can start talking yourself up like that. Like, I don't need a boyfriend to be happy. I don't need a girlfriend to be happy. I can be happy as I am. And when you get to the point where you're happy being single, then and only then will you truly find love that's genuine, a relationship that's honest, no neediness, no insecurity, no like you won't bring baggage when you go into a relationship. But when you go into a relationship, when you have all this insecurity, all this self-esteem issues, all this what ifs, you're gonna bring it right along with your partner. It's not gonna magically disappear, right? So work on yourself, work on overcoming these psychological, mental barriers of feeling not good about yourself, right? Get to a point where you start loving yourself and then get into a relationship. But I'm not trying to say be selfish and be conceited. Absolutely not. When you're going through this journey in life of loving yourself, you want to make sure that you don't close the doors on opportunities and start being mean towards other people. Absolutely not. Life is not just about you. Life is about what can you do in order to show God's love to other people, right? So with that said, make sure when you're going through the singledom that you do what you can to be a good friend to your friends, a good neighbor to your neighbors, a good daughter to your father, a good son to your mother, right? Focus on those relationships. Thank you, Ujong. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm here for you, right? I'm genuinely here for you. So, if I met a guy on the internet, how can I know if he's a real Christian? You know, at the end of the day, only Jesus can truly see what's in the heart of another person, right? They could sit there and be like, yeah, I go to church. Yeah, I know that Jesus guy. But honestly, like, we don't know if they're Christian or not, right? But I feel like there's a good scriptural way to know if they are or not, if they're biblically sound. If you genuinely talk to them and actually ask them about what do you believe in, you'll soon figure out if they're a God-honoring individual that lives a gospel-centered life, or if they're just saying they're a Christian, right? I feel like there's a lot of questions that you could just throw at them, easy ones like, what does Jesus mean to you? What is the most important aspect of your life? What's your identity? Even these simple questions right here will show you some evidence and some proof whether or not they're actually on the walk with Jesus, or whether they're just saying they're a Christian in order to get with you. There's a huge difference, right? Anyone can say that they're a Christian, but at the end of the day, are they really a Christian? I can sit here and say that I'm African American. I could sit here and say I'm Vietnamese, but am I really Vietnamese? No, I'm not. Am I black? Yes, I'm black. My eyebrows are black. No, I'm not black. I'm Korean. See, I can say these things, but I'm not truly that, right? So someone could be like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Well, what your name is. They could say that stuff, but you really should dig a little deeper and ask them some basic questions to see if they even know what Jesus is all about, if they even know what following the cross is all about. So, yeah. And the live stream crashed. So here I am, I'm back. Lagging out badly. Yeah, I just my live stream crashed. You know, yeah, it happens. Lots of lag. Lots of lag. Lots of lag. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Let me see where y'all about. Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes YouTube live stream crashes randomly. Um, it's it disrupts the flow, but that's how you know the enemy is working against this. Just kidding. I don't know. Maybe he is. But, where were we? Right. Okay. I appreciate you making these videos. Well, you're very welcome. I thoroughly enjoy helping people, right? I don't care about the views, but I just feel like when I'm helping people out, sometimes there's power in numbers, and that's why when I do these live stream, I mean, there might be someone watching right now who's kind of shy, kind of timid, but they probably have the same concern as someone else that's bold enough to ask about it, and so indirectly their situation gets solved as well because I provide the answer. So I love it. I'm having a good relationship with myself, but when do you know you are ready to find a partner? I think when you're having a good time with yourself, you won't beg the question of, is it time for me to find a partner? You won't let the society, cultural, family pressures of, you're gonna get married, when you gonna get married. You won't allow that stuff to bug your mind. I feel like if you're genuinely in a place in your life where you're content and you're loving yourself and you're enjoying who God made you to be, when you're thoroughly and honestly asking yourself and assessing your situation, right, you won't think about the other person, the potential soulmate, because you're loving yourself and you're loving those around you. And so with that said, when you get to that point, just watch, right? Just watch, because God, if you pray about it, right, God will bless you, right? If it's meant to be in your life, because not everyone's not supposed to be married. Not everyone's going to get married. What I'm trying to say is marriage is not a guarantee, it's a blessing. But if it's something that you genuinely want, it's good to ask God for his guidance and his provision and for his blessing and his favor. But don't make it a priority of like, okay, I'm good, so now I should be looking for someone. But rather, be genuine with God and talk to him, be like, you know what? I'm at a point in my life where I'm loving myself, I'm doing the right things, and I think it's good for me to start a family. So Lord, if it's your will, please allow the circumstances to happen where I can meet my soulmate, in which we can honor you together. Something like that, right? But what I always say is when you start doing the right thing and you start living a happy life and you start being the genuine you, the right person will come along. You won't have to go on these blind dates, these Tinder dates, these coffee and a bagel dates. You won't have to artificially do it. It'll just happen naturally, right? God is amazing, and he works for the greater of all things, for his own good, for his good, for the good of his people. Oh yeah, for the kingdom. But, yeah. Yeah, amen. All right, man. All right, all right. When you start letting your non-Christian friends lead you away from God, that's when you need new friends. Yeah, I feel like I personally know a lot of good Christians that in their childhood and teenage years they were very passionate about God, but the real test of time and the real obstacle is when they graduate from high school and they go off into the military or to college, or they go to their first job, because they realize that the real world hits you hard in the face, and there's a lot of temptations and there's a lot of people that will make fun of you for your faith, right? And I personally know a lot of good Christians that that, that lost their sights on God after being like 20, 21, and got obsessed with drugs, partying, and sleeping around and everything. And it's upsetting, but I'm not judging, because when you look at Luke 15, the parable of the prodigal son, or sometimes known as the parable of the lost son, I think a lot of us go through that rebellious stage where we say, God, I know you're real, but I don't want to follow you. I want to be the God of my own life. So here I am, smoking weed, drinking, having sex, doing whatever I want, when I fully know that you're real, but I'd rather just not face the consequences. But the great news there is Jesus tells us clearly, like, yo, when you realize that that's not the life I designed for you to enjoy, I'm going to be right here with open arms waiting for you to come back. So although I feel a little sad that some of my friends have gone down a road that's kind of scary, I just hope that eventually they'll find they're calling back home, man. They're calling back home. I feel like this chat is about looking for a partner. It's exactly what it's about. It's exactly what it's about. I'm just curious, what do you think of someone who isn't Christian or has another religion? I'm not religious. So I'm going to twist that around to fit the agenda of this video, which is all about relationships. So my philosophy is, regardless of what you believe in, I don't think it's healthy for you to shut yourself off from the world, to isolate yourself and only blindly follow those that look like you, talk like you, dress like you, and are in the same class as you. I feel like that's harmful in the real long run, right? And I talked about it yesterday. I went on like a 20-minute rant, but my stance is firm. I truly believe that everyone on earth, every single human, every single man and woman is a neighbor to one another, and is not a mistake, is not unwanted, and that they were designed with a purpose and a plan from God. So with that into consideration, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care if you're a feminist or a Muslim or a Jew or an atheist, right? I look at you the same way, right? Somebody with a heart, somebody with a family, somebody with a story, somebody with a feeling, somebody with, you name it, etc., right? And as a result, that allows me to be able to evangelize and talk to people that are outside of my comfort zone. Because when you get into this this perspective of where you're only going to hang out with other feminists, where you're going to hang out with other Muslims, or you're going to only hang out with other people that go to church with you, when are you ever going to be able to preach and teach people about Jesus? When are you ever going to be able to show God's love through your actions? When are you ever going to be able to expose yourself to different views so that you may strengthen your faith? I feel like from me going on debates and having intellectual conversations with atheists and Muslims and Jews and Gnostics and Buddhists, it allowed me to strengthen my faith, because I can see the logical flaws and holes in their arguments of trying to debunk Jesus, trying to disprove Christ and everything else. So oftentimes it could be an intellectual pro for you to be able to have friends that are not like you. But remember, there's always that fine line. You don't want to lose yourself and just be hanging out with people that are so different from you that you lose the way, that you start questioning everything. You're just like, am I really a boy or am I a girl? Am I this or am I that? You don't want to get to that point, right? There's a lot of manipulation and lies out there. So just be careful that you don't allow yourself to be wrapped up and be drowned, okay? What's your advice on someone getting bullied for a long time? You see, when I was younger and you were to ask me that, I would say fight them back. Because you can only teach someone a lesson to not touch you and hurt you if you hit them back. But you see, that's before I was a Christian, right? Now that I'm more mature and I've developed, I'm not that old, but dang it, I would say that I'm a little more mature than most individuals that are on the YouTube platform, right? When you look at bullying, you really got to get down to the bigger issue, right? Nobody wakes up and gets out of bed looking forward to just hurting another person. Nobody wakes up with a deep desire of racism, right? Nobody just wakes up and thinks about hurting and giving pain, okay? What happened is, more often than not, right, 9 out of 10 times, if you look at somebody's life when they're a bully, they're missing a special ingredient, a psychological need for proper development, which is the ingredient of love. More often than not, when you look at these bullies, man, they've either been abused, been through neglect, emotional trauma, financial troubles, their dad walked out on them. Something happened down the line where love wasn't abundant, and as a child, they weren't affirmed, and they weren't brought up with positivity. And as a result, oftentimes bullies like to outlash in a way where they take all that pain that they're bottling up inside and they unleash it onto the innocent, onto the people that allow the bullies to take advantage of them and hurt them. And it's sad, right? It's sad. But there is always a solution, right? I feel like if it's life-threatening and it's really dangerous, honestly, man, some people might call you a tattletaler or a weasel, but I think I would support you in that case for you to tell an adult, to tell a teacher or a counselor, right? But if it's somebody that's bullying you in a not a severe way, honestly, man, just stick up for yourself and talk to them, confront them, and be like, hey, I know this is not the real you, and I just want to know what's going on. Is everything okay? If you want someone to talk to, I'm always going to be here. You don't have to say these things to me. You don't have to do that to me. If you want to just grab lunch together, I'm all about it. If you want, I will listen to you for the next 3 hours. This time is for you. I just want to listen to you. Tell me what's going on. Is there anything that I can do for you? If you show that love and compassion first, keep doing it, right? The first few times, they're going to reject it. They're just going to be mean. They're going to continue to put on that mask of being a bully. But at the end of the day, they're not really a bully. Every single person has a deep desire to feel loved. Even if you're a prisoner, even if you're a mean guy or a nice guy, everyone desires to feel loved. And when you can give that love to that bully, I can almost guarantee you that you might be the person that will change their life, that will leave an impact on them to be better, that they don't have to stay that way, right? So what I would say is, you don't want to hear it, but be their friend. Love your enemy. I know it sounds hard. They're bullying me. You don't understand. They're making fun of me. They're calling me names. I get it. I truly do. But befriend them. Be nice to them. Ask them to hang out with you. Invite them to your house for dinner. I know you're probably thinking you're out of your mind. I'm not going to do that. But just try it out. Talk to them, hear them out, and try to understand and have some sympathy about their story. Try to wear their shoes and walk a mile to hear what they've been going through, okay? But if all else fails, right, tell an adult, talk to your teacher about it. Okay. First video I saw from you was that video where you said date to marry. That had a huge impact on me, and I appreciate you a lot for saying that. Well, you're very welcome. I made that video, and I knew that it wasn't going to be a popular decision because we live in a YouTube culture where every YouTuber is like, just do what makes you happy. You know, if you live, laugh, and love. And I hear that argument, but I just cannot agree with that because that promotes a life full of disappointments and anxiety and failure. And I just don't want to see that happening to the younger generation. So Yeah. Okay, why does the comments disappear? Sometimes it's there, and okay, I don't understand why sometimes it's there and sometimes it disappears. But Ujong, how long have you been a Christian? For 2 years. How were you able to transition to the person you are now, dedicated to your faith, from how you used to identify yourself as? I feel like the biggest um, lesson that I can kind of give you is stop living for the world and live for your God, right? Stop trying so hard, so desperately to receive praise from people, but rather receive love from God. And when you receive love and you feel satisfied with His grace and His mercy and His abundant and overflowing love, that's more than enough, right? You'll quickly learn that everything will change. You'll stop trying to pretend to be someone that you're not. You'll stop trying to do questionable lifestyle choices. You'll stop the abundance of regrettable mistakes will dramatically reduce, and you'll just have a sense of clarity and peace in your heart when you start living for God and not for people. As in, because I know that you're supposed to love God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength, right? Vertically, but also horizontally love people. But what I'm trying to say is stop living for the world. Stop living for the world's affection, but rather live for God. And when you do that, it's okay when people praise you and be like, yo, you're awesome, thank you. It's good. But if that's what's fueling you when you upload a photo onto Instagram to get 100 likes, if that's what's fueling you, that's the very problem right there. So for me to get to this point, I think it took a lot of spiritual maturity in the sense of really, really establishing a relationship with Jesus and not just saying that. Because I feel like a lot of people, they say like, oh, I know Jesus, yeah, he's that guy from Nazareth, blah, 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 but they don't really know him, as in they never really accepted him into their heart, right? There's a big difference. There's a big difference of intellectually knowing who Jesus is and then allowing your heart to receive Christ. So, yeah. Alcohol destroys your liver. Wujong, what church do you go to? I go to a Christian church, baby. A Christian church. I don't believe in the whole notion of separating yourselves and distinguishing one another from different denominations and finding your identity as a Baptist or as a Presbyterian. No, at the end of the day, you're a Christian. Just say you're a Christian. If you're a follower of Christ, you're a Christian. Stop identifying with, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Baptist, I'm a Methodist. That's why I don't play that game. That's why I just say I go to church. I'm not going to sit here and try to promote one denomination over another, because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters in arms, right? So that's what's more important. Wujong, why are people so immature? Believe it or not, when I first started YouTube in 2005, literally there was no such thing as a troll. Right? In 2006, even up to 2009, there was literally no such thing as trolls. So when you commented something, there was no such thing as sarcasm, no one teasing you, no one tempting you, no one cussing at you. There was none of that. But I feel like the internet kind of turned for the worse, but also in a good way too, because I thoroughly enjoy my memes, right? I enjoy watching and looking at funny pictures and stuff, but it's got to a point where people troll and they receive satisfaction from it. And that's why when you see someone going on my live stream and they call me names or they say they hate me, I just ignore it, because I'm just like, as someone who's been with YouTube since its birth, right? I've been doing this since 2005, right? I've seen it evolve. I've seen it transition and transform into what it is today. It's a whole different beast than it was back then. Now, I feel like when it comes to people that are immature, right, it's very subjective. Some people might say it's immature. Some people might say they're not immature. But oftentimes, man, if you don't give them a spotlight, that pretty much solves the problem there and then. But if you give into it and you stoop down to their level, they've won, right? If they start calling you names and you start getting irritated and you fight back and you start calling them names, you're no better than them now, right? So I would say try to be the bigger person, even though there's no obligation for you to be the bigger person. Like when you see someone on my live stream and they start making fun of me, do you see me talk to them at all? I just ignore them. I'm just like, whatever, dude. If you want to make fun of me, go ahead. I don't really care. But yeah, I mean, don't feed the trolls, right? I mean, that's a saying that I've heard since its origin. Don't feed the trolls. But if it's not about an internet issue and you're talking about real life, when people are immature, sometimes it's good to just have a sense of humor and just laugh and just have a good time about it, not be uptight. But if it's an internet issue, I mean, obviously that's a whole nother ball game. And what I would say is just ignore it. Ignore it. What is the most important thing that you need to do? All right, it crashed. Anyways, I think the concern was. All right, we're back. Sorry, I don't know what happened. YouTube crashed. Never allowed me to finish. But I think the question that I was on was, what's the most important ingredient that a person needs to have in order to become the right person or better person for their eventual partner? And I think one of the most important ingredients that a person needs is sympathy, right? If you're not able to see things from your partner's point of view, if you're not able to understand where they're coming from, if you're not able to be patient to try to hear them, it ain't gonna work out, right? And I feel like sympathy is something that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that's developed from genuine relationships. So I would say when you're talking to people and when you're developing friendships with people, try to be a sympathetic person, a person that can understand their feelings and their wants and desires and their emotions without a judgmental cap, right? Take off the Pharisee thinking cap and try to talk to them as if you're just there for them. In that moment, it's all about them. In that moment, you're pausing and pumping the brakes and holding reservation for any judgment, but rather just being there for them. Ujong, I feel invisible in my class. I'm struggling to fit in and I can't relate to people around me. Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough because I totally hear where you're coming from, right? I'm an introvert and I know it sounds really weird, but I would rather be by myself than hang out with people. And you're probably like, what? But yeah, I genuinely am more comfortable just hanging out by myself. And you know, it took a while for me to get to this point, for me to be comfortable with who I am. I feel like when I was younger, I tried to fight so hard to be an extrovert, to be someone that I'm not. And it was exhausting, right? But these days, I've trained myself where I can be an extrovert in sprints. Like I can be an extrovert for like 3 hours. I can be the life of the party for 3 hours. But I think you have to understand there's such a thing as a personality disposition, right? Everyone is a little bit introverted or a little bit extroverted, leaning wise. You're probably introverted, man. And so with that said, I would encourage you to find some hobbies that you like to do, and get involved with the local community that also has the same interest. Say you like filmmaking, well, join a meetup group or find a group that your local campus or something that has the same interest as you, or get into fitness, right? The gym is one of the best places to make friends with strangers, right? Because you're all there for a common purpose of trying to sculpt your body and get into shape and take care of your body. There's a lot of opportunities. You just got to think outside the box and not just think about the college as a resource or your class as a resource, but also the institutions around you, the places around you, the gyms around you, the churches around you. All right. I have mates outside of college. That's good, man. Keep in touch with them, right? Try to. I always say this, but be the bigger person. Always text them first. You know, be like, "How you doing? What you wearing? What you eat today?" You know, just make an effort to make your friendship last. You don't want to be one of those people where after you move or you go to another town or you go to another school, you just say bye bye. I'm worried about my sister. She's never hung out with boys, but she's really into her first boyfriend. Am I just interfering with her life, or is it okay to be worried? I think it's okay to be worried because there are some people that they don't understand how to balance their life, relationships, and priorities, and as a result, they put all their eggs in one basket. That's not good. It really isn't. So I think it's okay to have that concern, but you don't want to helicopter over them, right? You don't want to constantly be like, but rather, you know, keep your distance and check in on them, hang out with them, be a third wheel once in a while, see how things are going. But yeah, you're doing the right thing. To be concerned about that is a good thing. What are you doing, these little fishies? How would you react if your children ended up gay? Well, I don't know. This might surprise you, but if my children ended up stealing something from the candy shop, lying at school and getting detention, or ended up becoming gay, I would nonetheless still love them, right? It doesn't matter what my child will do. I will always be there for them as their father, right? I will always love them, but I will always try to help them overcome and help them understand the bigger perspective in life, that they don't have to steal candy from the candy shop, but rather it's better for them to develop a work ethic and earn money, saving up the money that they earn from working and buying what they want, right? Teaching them the values of a dollar, teaching them that the truth is always important and lying is not worth it, and then also teach them about the biblical stance of marriage between a man and a woman, and helping them to understand sexual desires, temptations, and personal individual wants versus what God wants, helping them see eye to eye in order for them to see, or in order for them to understand God's purpose and plan for their life, right? Because if you choose to live the life that you want according to your own individual desires and wants, you're actually not living the life that God designed for you, so you won't be living the best life that's possible for you. When you start rebelling, when you start going outside of the lines, and you start to uh, do things that are not a part of your design, you're not going to have the best life that you could, right? I would teach them these moral lessons that are all biblically based. So, yeah. The milk appears. That's good. Any other more relationship inquiries, advice, second opinions? Relationships, not about your mathematics test that you should have studied for, not about my favorite color, but relationship stuff. Milk is healthy in a relationship? Absolutely. Yeah. I'm talking hello to some guy. Oh, that's simple. If they play games, they're not worth it. The guy I'm currently dating has a very obsessive ex that can't seem to let him go. We both try our best to ignore her, but she always seems to be plotting something. What would you recommend? I think in that situation, it's out of your control, but obviously your boyfriend, your partner, or whatever, brought the baggage with him into this relationship, and I apologize for that, right? That's not something that anyone should have to endure, right? Or always having to see the face of the past lover, of always having to deal with the ex. It's not fun, but I think it's good for you both to really confront her. And I'm not talking about a text or an email, but what I mean is actually confronting her, like having a lunch face to face and letting her know, like, hey, like we're happy together, we're in love, and it would be best for both parties if we go our separate ways, right? Or to have a genuine conversation with her to let her know, like, I know what you're trying to do here, trying to break this relationship apart or whatever it is, and you just gotta let her know that it's not gonna happen. But say it with love, but firm, but with love, and make sure that your partner's on the same page. Because oftentimes, she might be texting him, and he might be texting back. So make sure that he blocks her on all social media. Doesn't pick up her calls, blocks all of her numbers. Okay, make sure that he's on the same page as you, because it's a joint effort. Because you might be offended by it, but he might not be. He might like talking to his ex. He might enjoy his ex texting him up. Do you know that? Do you not know that? Right? So make sure you both are on the same page, and block her. But if she continues to be a pest, confront her, have lunch, talk to her, be like, hey, you got to cut this out. Right? We're happy together. We're in love, and we're trying to develop a relationship, but you're getting in the way. and I would respectfully request that you stop. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why I always advocate to people, don't go into a relationship, don't form one unless you're both ready, including your partner, ready. As in, that you both don't have that baggage where you're bringing into the new relationship, because your new partner doesn't deserve that baggage, that past to come along with you. And that's why I feel like if people were to take the time to actually get to know someone and to talk to them and to figure out what kind of baggage they're bringing into the relationship, that would solve a lot of problems like that. But I understand that love happens and you just jump into relationships after 3 days, a week, whatever it is. Or in this instance, an ex, right, an obsessive ex, it happens. So, every circumstance is different, but for the most part, it would be beneficial for everyone to make sure that you're healed properly, that you're not bringing in baggage, thinking about your exes or any, issues that arise from past relationships, and making sure that everything is mentally sound before you get into a relationship. Your partner will thank you tremendously if you do that method, that strategy. If you don't want to listen to me and you just want to jump into a relationship one after another, you do your thing and let me know how it goes after a year. Okay? Come back to my channel. I genuinely want to know if I'm wrong. Where it's better for a person to just jump into another relationship after another, soon after breaking up. If that genuinely worked out good for you, please come back to my channel and let me know. Prove me wrong so I can shut up. But, yeah. How can I tell if the boy approaches me at church is a good... I talked about that at the very beginning of this live stream, so when I upload this later, check it out. You'll like it. You'll really like it. The answer that I gave. But I answered that earlier. I'm just looking at my fish, you know what I'm saying? They silly. They silly. Okay, thank you. I just joined. Not a problem. Happiness doesn't depend to someone else. It depends to you. That's good. That's very good. I didn't get to. I've been with someone for 3 years. So your son doesn't like the guy that you're with. It's none of my business, but I feel like if you've been with someone for almost 4 years, I think it's proper that you make the decision whether or not y'all are going to be a thing or a fling, right? And I'm never going to support the fling option. But if you're going to be with someone for 4 years, you should seriously have a genuine talk about where is this going? Like, are you going to be the father of my kid? Are you going to be my husband? Are you going to be the head person of this household? Like, what's up? Or are you just playing with me? Are you not going to commit? Right, I feel like when you marry this dude, since your kid is so young, I feel like as he grows up with the guy that is called your husband, eventually he might even call him a dad, right? But in order to get to that place, y'all need to set this correct foundation and framework. You're going to be dating guys every other week when you have a kid. That kid's always going to be confused as to what a father figure really is. That kid is never going to understand what a dad is. That kid is never going to understand what a husband is to a wife. So give him some balance, some structure, some stability, some framework, and a proper foundation for him to grow up in a healthy family, right? Can we go back to the 1940s when it was a father and a mother that raised a family and it just worked? It was a family unit. Now it's like people got like 3 dads, 4 dogs, 7 stepsisters, and it's just getting so complicated that people don't even realize like what a healthy family feels like, what a mom is truly supposed to be like. And I'm not trying to say if you have a stepdad or stepmom or whatever it is, you're not going to understand healthiness. But what I'm trying to say is if you're redefining a family household consisting of a father and a mother and their children, and you're bringing into all these derivative variables that are just, outliers, it's just going to mess everything up, right? So, get serious. Get serious about your relationship. Make the commitment. That way the titles are there, right? So that way it's not just baby daddy or the guy that I'm seeing, but rather it's the father of my kid. Even if it's a stepfather, but still a father, right? Yeah. How do I learn to love myself? I made like 5 videos talking about how to love yourself. And I feel like since I answer that question almost every single time I do a live stream, I feel like I have a simplified answer, which is not good enough. If you want the good answer, check out my videos about how to love yourself. Literally go to the YouTube search bar. Bro, keep up the good work. I love it, man. Go to the YouTube search bar, search Wujong, how to love yourself. But essentially, to loving yourself requires 2 things, right? Becoming your own best friend, right? Being comfortable with just hanging out by yourself. And number 2, understanding your identity as a child of God. When you have that sense of belonging with God, you won't look in the wrong places to find love. You won't be looking at different guys every week to find happiness. You won't be looking at plastic surgery procedures in order to get a bigger boob in order to be satisfied with life. You won't need that. It won't be necessary, right? So learn to enjoy your own company. And number 2, understand your identity as God's creation. I wish I could stay and ask you something, but I have to go. Well, sorry about it. Bye, Ujong. Alrighty. Can you give me advice on how to deal with a dad that has anger issues? Yeah. That's tough. I think now I don't know all the details, right? But oftentimes when we're talking about an angry individual, but anyways, YouTube froze. Sometimes when we're talking about an angry individual that's a parent, sometimes there's abuse involved. So if this parent is hurting you physically, mentally, emotionally abusing you, I think it's proper that you seek the proper authorities to help you out, right? Your teacher, your guidance counselor, your pastor, somebody that you trust that's an adult, and seek their help. But if it's a dad that just is angry all the time, you gotta understand that you don't become angry overnight, right? It's something that develops over time. So with that said, it doesn't mean that it can't be cured, right? So I think it's good to approach him, with genuine rawness and let him know how disappointing and upsetting and how much it scares you when he's angry and throwing fits of rage. And let him know how much you care about him and how you want to see um, him being his old self again, right? Because you want to enjoy his company and not be fearful. And I say it's best to do that by approaching him when he's mentally clear. Like, you don't want to talk to him when he's drinking a beer, right? His judgment will be impaired. But if you talk to him clearly, when he has a clear conscience and a state of mind that's not altered by drugs or alcohol, talk to him and let him know what's on your heart and how much he means to you and how you just want to be his daughter, his son again. Anyways, I'm going to do one more because I'm getting pretty bad ADD right now. I'm just like, my fish are going crazy next to me, and it's just like, woo-wee. There you go. How do I attract the right person for me? I think I talked about that 2 times in the beginning of this live stream. So when I upload this to YouTube, check it out. Yeah, I'll upload this immediately after this, so it'll be beneficial for you. One more, y'all. Okay, thank you. Of course. Of course. Is there anyone? Thank you, John. How to deal with phobia, my friend. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. I'm 3rd grade education. I don't know. I'm sorry. How do you tell someone that is your good friend you like them? Pump the brakes and tread carefully, right? You probably want to hear, oh, go up to them and tell them how much they mean to you. No, I'm actually not going to say that. Rather, I would say pump the brakes, meaning stop, take a step back, and evaluate the situation. Oftentimes, 9 out of 10 times, when you break up, because I'm going to tell you, when you're young, almost 99% of your relationships, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't even know, off the top of my head, I don't know anyone that married their high school sweetheart or middle school sweetheart. It just doesn't happen in reality, okay? But with that said, take a step back. If you're genuinely good friends with them, be careful, because if you want to confess your feelings to them and you want to date them, when you break up, things might never be the same again. You will never have that good friend in him or her again. You're going to lose that relationship. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes it's better to just have a relationship with someone as just friends than to risk it and throw it all away after you break up. And I say that because if you're in middle school or high school, you're probably going to break up, right? But with that said, I think oftentimes you end up establishing feelings for someone that you're good friends with because you get along so well. And I think you're young enough to not understand and differentiate between true love and, little desires here and there, like, oh, I wish I could kiss them. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say be careful. But if it's somebody that you know that you want to marry, it's someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with, like this is the person that you know is your soulmate, you're willing to do whatever, and you want to get married, like that's the outcome, I would say, yeah, go for it, you know, as long as you're 100% sure that they feel the same way about you. But if this is a one-sided, unrequited love, and you're the only one having these fantasies, it probably might not be a good idea, right? Because you might date, you might break up, and you lost that friend forever, 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 forever. So, be careful. You don't want to. Good friendships are hard to come by. You know? Good friendships are hard to come by. So I would say treasure your friendships. Because romantic relationships, man, they're hit or miss. When you break up, you become strangers again. You act like the other person doesn't exist, and it's sad, right? So if you really like them as a good friend, you want to stay good friends, keep it that way. Anyways, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Actually, since no one ever watches the end of the live stream, help me out. Help me out. What should be my next specific topic live stream next time I do it? The next live stream that I do. Well, what should the topic be? Advice for applying to UC schools or universities. Honestly, man, I'm going to tell you as someone that's getting his master's degree right now that it's not about the name of the school, but it's what you do in school. I made a video talking about advice from a grad school student. It's on my YouTube channel. I talk about it. But essentially, at the end of the day, you can fight tooth and nail to try to get into the Ivy League, but you could go there and you could butcher everything and graduate with a 2.0, and you're no better off than somebody that got a 3.0 at a local school, right? Somebody that went to a state flagship school, the public school in state. They're better off than you for getting a 3.0. So what I would say is go wherever you can go that you can afford, right? And get the best GPA that you can do and establish a crazy good resume, right? What's the point of trying so hard and getting a lot of student loan debt to go to Harvard or UC Berkeley if you can't even afford it and you graduate with $250,000 in debt, right? You're no better off than anyone else. So what I would say is go where you can afford and do the best that you can do. Apply for every internship, do every extracurricular activity, be the president of the student board, do whatever you can. But anyways, what should the next live stream topic be? I kind of like this, right? I kind of like this. It's structured. Sometimes when I talk about everything and anything, it just gets really crazy and just like my head's all over the place. Do you have any videos specifically about not comparing yourself to others? I do. YouTube search bar, Wujong, How to Stop Caring. I think that's the title. It should come up. But essentially, it's me going like this. How to stop caring. What have you not talked about? I talked about everything from depression to suicide to anxiety to cheating to relationships to soulmates to school to developing goals. You name it, I got it. But health and self-love in God's perspective. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. What are some other ideas? What are some good ideas for the next specific live stream? Your purpose in life. I just feel like that one's so easy. Self-respect. That's a good one too. Finding a purpose, and that's the easy one. I can knock that out in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. By the way, this isn't like a dog's butt cheek in my face. It's a camera. So, how to deal with pain you feel. That's deep. I kind of like that one. fake people versus real people. These are good topics. But I feel like most of it boils down to relationships still, in the broad scheme of things. Maybe the next one I should talk about education advice, academic tips. Maybe that's a good one. Is that a good one? Peer pressure, that's a good one. Stubborn people, that's a good one. I don't know. I feel like I kind of want to do a academic one. Is that a good one? Academic advice, education tips. Who we really are. Huh. Med school burnout. Introvert. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at these. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna upload this right now to YouTube. Something deep. It will definitely be deep. Okay, see you.